Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. So hi, everyone. Welcome to Save Mount Diablo's BioBlitz and iNaturalist training presentation. And I'm glad y'all are able to join us this evening. My name is Denise Castro, and I'm Save Mount Diablo's Education and Outreach Associate. And joining me are some of my amazing teammates, Sean Burke and Seth Adams. Sean and Seth, would you like to introduce yourselves?
Hi, my name's Sean Burke. I'm the Land Programs Director for Save Mount Diablo, and it's a pleasure to be here and talk with everybody about this afternoon.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Seth.
Hi, everybody. I'm Seth Adams. I'm Save Mount Diablo's Land Conservation Director, and I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties, so sorry about that, but welcome, everybody.
Also, just a quick note that this session is being recorded and will be uploaded onto our BioBlitz webpage for everyone to access. So, and the slides will also be posted on our website in PDF form, so you can access those at any time. Before I get started, I wanted to take a moment to honor and recognize the Indigenous peoples that have lived and still live on the land that we occupy. Earlier this year, Save Mount Diablo put together its first official land acknowledgement, and it goes like this. Save Mount Diablo recognizes that we are on the unceded ancestral lands of the Bay Miwok, the Muwekma Ohlone, the Northern Valley Yokuts, and other tribes and triplets, people who have loved and cared for the Mount Diablo, or for Mount Diablo as a sacred mountain since time immemorial. Many of these people continue today as thriving members of the diverse communities of the greater San Francisco Bay Area and the larger Diablo Range region. We acknowledge and honor the Bay Miwok Ohlone and Northern Valley Yokut tribes, as well as all of the Indigenous peoples of the land which Save Mount Diablo serves. I also highly recommend checking out this website, native-land.ca, to explore more Indigenous tribes that live and still live across North America. Before I jump into the BioBlitz and iNaturalist, I'd like to introduce Save Mount Diablo to those who have never heard of us before. Save Mount Diablo is a nationally accredited land trust and conservation organization based in the Bay Area. We were founded in 1971 by local community members, Dr. Mary Bowerman, who was a professional botanist, and Art Bonwell, who was the Mount Diablo Sierra Club chapter president at the time. Our main mission is to conserve land in the Northern Diablo Range by acquiring land, defending land by advocating against poorly planned and environmentally harmful development projects, restoring land through stewardship, enjoying land through public recreational activities and other fun events, and educating people about the importance of protecting land as a way to combat climate change. So a couple of important dates for Save Mount Diablo's BioBlitz. The BioBlitz itself is 2 weeks long and begins this Saturday, April 16th. April 16th, and it'll last until Saturday, April 30th. No registration is required. The BioBlitz will be focusing on the 2020 SCU Lightning Complex, and we're encouraging everyone to access sites, the public sites that are open, to just explore the area and take pictures of any living organism that you find there and post those on iNaturalist. Then on Thursday, May 5th, from 4 to 6 p.m., we're going to be having a BioBlitz debrief session over Zoom. And this is a great opportunity for participants to share their BioBlitz findings and experiences. We'll have a couple of experts that are going to be presenting, and we'll have presenters from all over the different Northern Diablo Range areas that burned. So it'll be really fun, and we'll have some really cool findings to share with y'all. So sign up is completely free, and you can do it through Eventbrite. So what is the BioBlitz? A BioBlitz, to put it simply, is a 24-hour snapshot of the biodiversity of a place. The goal is to document as many living things, plants, animals, fungi, etc., as possible. And we hold BioBlitzes for a variety of reasons, but basically, BioBlitz events contribute to an improved understanding of local natural resources. So it establishes a baseline of species information and fills in spots on the species map. We have to know what kinds of plants or animals or other kinds of living things exist in a place in order to better plan ways to protect them. So this kind of event often guides stewardship and management decisions. Subsequent BioBlitz events can also show changes over time, and this is especially important after big natural disasters like a wildfire. It's also a great excuse to go outside and to look at really interesting areas that we might not get access to very often or think about going to very often, and we might find some really cool things there. Then there's the big importance of community science. BioBlitz events help bridge the gap between the scientific community and the public. So it's a great opportunity to engage the public, to let them contribute to science, and in doing so, increasing their appreciation for both nature and different areas of research. I'm going too fast. Save Mount Diablo has been doing BioBlitzes since 2007. We've done 14 overall, 15 if we count the dispersed BioBlitz last year. And we've only missed two, one in 2010 and one in 2020. And the one in 2020 was due to the pandemic. Usually our BioBlitzes are invite only and 24 hours long. They tend to be one on one of our properties or on one of our neighbors or partners' properties like city open spaces or Mount Diablo State Parkland. And we generally allow overnight camping, especially for participants interested in bats or nocturnal reptiles and insects. And we have stations set up throughout the region of interest to provide water, maps, and first aid. But in 2021, we held our first dispersed public 2-week BioBlitz. And it was the first out of the 3-year focus on the 2020 SCU Lightning Complex fire footprint. We had over 100 participants from the public visiting different parts of the Northern Diablo Range that burned, finding all kinds of really cool organisms. For example, a fire poppy. And it was actually thanks to this BioBlitz last year that a team from Save Mount Diablo was able to find the first ever recorded population of fire poppies in the Deer Zone fire area. So some really cool things do come out of these events, and it's very helpful. We're going to be continuing our public 2-week dispersed BioBlitz this year, focusing on the SCU Lightning Complex fire footprint. No registration is necessary for this event, and it's open to people of all ages. We're encouraging participants to visit any of the burn sites that have open public access, and we have a list of all the public locations on our website, along with maps with the burn areas. And these maps can be downloaded and uploaded onto the Avenza app, which will help you keep track of where you are when you're out on the location. And you don't need cell signal to access these maps. But we do include the link to the park agency's website in addition to those maps, so you can visit for any updates, especially if there are trail closures or things like that. There is no time commitment for this event. You can go at any time in the 2-week period. You can go for 1 day, you can go multiple times. It's all entirely up to you. And most of the suggested locations are in rural areas, and you might need to hike in a couple miles before you reach the burn site. A lot of the land along the suggested public roads that we're going to be talking about are private. So please make sure to stay alongside the road. There are many pullouts that you can safely stop at or take pictures of plants and things, but don't cross any fences or wander deep into someone's private property. You don't want anyone trespassing onto private property. And please note that there is very limited to no services in many of these areas. There may be weak to no cell signal. So definitely bring food, bring snacks, bring water, bring a full tank of gas, and do expect to be out there for a few hours at least. So definitely bring like some protection or layers. And of course, please follow leave no trace principles. Don't go off trail and collect anything without proper permits. I highly suggest bringing binoculars if you have some to look at plants that are far away. But the goal of this BioBlitz is not to collect anything except photos. So please take lots of pictures, take videos, and that's what we're going to be focusing on uploading onto iNaturalist. So in celebration of Save Mount Diablo's 50th anniversary, we've created a BioBlitz t-shirt, which is down here on the lower right-hand corner, and in partnership with the California Native Plant Society. And we're hosting a challenge throughout the 2-week BioBlitz. So our goal is to upload, or our challenge for you is to upload 50 observations of different species onto iNaturalist in celebration of our 50 years of conserving land. So once you've got 50 observations loaded, copy the link to your iNat list or download the list, and it's very simple. There's just a little download thing on the corner of the iNat list that you'll see later, and you can send it to my email, dcastro@savemountdiablo.org, and then we'll mail you your shirt. So really simple, and once you get out there, you'll see that 50 observations is pretty quick. You can get to that number very, very quickly. So the whole event is going to be focusing on the SCU Lightning Complex fire footprint. And this is going to be our second year focusing on this. It's going to be a 3-year study overall. This fire happened in 2020. It covered a lot of the northern Diablo Range. It was nearly 400,000 acres. And this is the 4th largest wildfire in California history. And it happened in August, mid-August of 2020, after this massive lightning storm. And there were about 20 separate fires that burned across 5 counties in the northern Diablo Range. And these fires burned east of Mount Diablo, which is where the Deer Zone fire began, up in the very top of this map right here. This is Round Valley, Los Vaqueros, and Morgan Territory Regional Preserves. And then it burned all the way down here into Henry Cove, down to Pacheco Pass, and then there's Del Puerto Canyon down here. So it's a massive, massive fire. And so a lot of this does encompass public parks and public roads, and we're going to cover those parks and roads that you can visit. This is all, let me backtrack. So after the 2013 Morgan fire, we spent 3 years studying that fire footprint, and we found a lot of really interesting things, a lot of fire followers that came after that. So we got really excited about this fire because we want to find more fire followers. There's very little research done on those, so we want to keep track. We decided to repeat the same process with a much larger footprint through this program called the Diablo Range Revealed. So the project covers the impact of the SCU Lightning Complex from east of Mount Diablo down to Pacheco Pass. And this is a great opportunity to explore the Diablo Range overall, both the burn site and the non-burn site, and also just to see what other fire followers are popping up. So you can follow this adventure on our website, and there are a lot of super informational posts with tips on the best locations to see some of the most amazing wildflower blooms in the region. And so this is where we're going to get started on the different areas that we recommend the public to visit. There are several burn areas open to the public that we really want to encourage you to see. So I'm going to turn it over to Sean Burke and Seth Adams to go over these locations. So take it away.
So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Deer Zone fire. As Denise said, there were about 20 different fires that started and merged into a very, very large fire. The closest one to Mount Diablo was called the Deer Zone, 3,000 acres on Morgan Territory, Round Valley, and Los Vaqueros, with some additional areas up along Marsh Creek Road. And that fire was as big as the Morgan fire on Mount Diablo back in 2013. It's some really rocky areas that hadn't burned since the 1930s. A lot of it had never been explored historically. The parks are relatively recent. And so these were brand new areas to take a look at where the chaparral cover had been removed and fire follower plants might be located. And that's actually the case. That's what we found, new fire followers there. If you're wondering what fire followers are, lots of you probably know, some of you may not, but there are plants whose seeds live in the seed bank for 25, 50, 100, 125 years, just dormant until the next fire comes along. One of the most celebrated, Sean will tell you about, was located in this area last year and again this year, the fire poppy. But these are some of the hot species that people are looking at. And so far as we know, this area is still the only place in the entire 400,000 acres where fire poppies have been found in a brand new location. The advantage of The deer zone area here is that most of the 400,000 acres is on private land. A lot of it's inaccessible except along some public roads. But in this area, especially from the bottom of Round Valley or from the Morgan Territory staging area, you can access some significant areas of the fire zone, dropping from Morgan Territory down into Round Valley. Sean, do you want to add anything about this zone?
Yeah, it's an amazing place. We've been looking at it really thoroughly, essentially since we were able to get into there last year, partially because it's so close to us, but also because it's so has so much biodiversity in a small place. So we've been looking at it on our own. We looked at it last year very thoroughly with our BioBlitz, and we actually just held a 24-hour BioBlitz in the area about 2 weeks ago, and it's extremely rich in regeneration in the area. As Seth mentioned, it's really a rocky, a rocky area with a lot of elevation change, but it is absolutely magnificent. There are a lot of rare fire following flowers that we've seen in the area, like fire poppies, whispering bells, and golden eardrops that can be found. We saw thousands of Mount Diablo fairy lanterns or globe lilies while we were out last year, and this year we're seeing lots of stump sprouters starting to get established in the area. Stump sprouters are plants like chamise or manzanitas that have recovered in these chaparral areas, and essentially when a fire will come through these areas, it will ignite the tops of these chaparral plants, and the plants will kind of turn off, if you will, their ability to keep their plants above the fire line alive, and they'll keep their roots alive. So that way they have a chance to regenerate in these soils once nutrients and water is readily available to them, and they've come back in a lot of ways. So it's really great to see. There's lots of yerba santa that you can see in the area, which is great. And manroot is definitely another one of these plants that you're seeing.
One of the things,
lots of, but get out and check it out. It's beautiful.
One of the things we found about this area is that no one knew how rocky the juncture between Morgan Territory and Round Valley was, because it had all been under mature chaparral for decades. And so this is, again, an easily accessible area. You might remember that we were in a drought last year. And so in a lot of areas, the amount of regeneration was relatively small. In some areas, just 10% coverage, 30% coverage after the fire. Same with some of the areas down east of Mount Hamilton and so on. The grassland areas have regenerated fast in a lot of areas, except for dead trees here and there. You can't even tell a fire happened. But in the chaparral areas, this second year, we got the big pulse of rain in October and some rain since then. And we're having a really great year for regeneration. It may be that some things didn't show up at all last year and they will this year. For example, we saw very few whispering bells or golden eardrops last year, and now we're seeing a whole bunch more. And so there's a bunch of fire followers out there still to be found. Enough about the deer zone. Moving on to Mission Peak and the Sunol Regional Wilderness Cities. A lot of the area in the Ohlone Wilderness and in Sunol, burnt down into the Calaveras Reservoir area, is grassland. The fire provides a lot of fertilizer, and so lots of things that would normally be relatively small may be quite large. But the fire extended up along the Ohlone Wilderness Trail up onto the slopes of Mission Peak as well. So again, you can relatively easily get to fire burn areas from the Sunol headquarters visitor center area up the Ohlone Wilderness Trail. You have to pay for a permit that lasts for a year. And if you've never hiked from Sunol up to the top of Mission Peak, off to the west, this is a spectacular hike. So anything you want to add about Mission Peak, Sean? Otherwise, let's move on to Henry Cove. Henry Cove is the largest state park in Northern California, 90,000 acres. That's 4.5 times the size of Mount Diablo State Park. A lot of it's relatively remote, but about 2/3 of it burned in the SCU fires, the Santa Clara Unit fires. And you can get to it from various places on the west. Most of them require a significant hike to get into the burn zone. It's a rugged place without the really defined peaks of Mount Diablo, but a lot of the same steep ridges and canyons. And there's a lot of water in Henrico. It's not grazed. There's no grazing in Henrico State Park. So there's a tremendous diversity of wildflowers, and the diversity of plants here is incredible. It's on the backside of Mount Hamilton and somewhat down to the south. Just tremendous diversity. If you get into the center of the Diablo Range, what you find is it's really Mount Diablo multiplied. And in a 90,000 acre, there are things to be discovered. But you're going to have to do relatively long hikes to get into Henrico. Shall we move on to Del Puerto Canyon?
Yeah, so Del Puerto Canyon is a pretty amazing place that we really, started looking into very closely last year. A lot of the reason why was because of this fire. And one of the areas to best, explore this is the Menhir Day Use area, because it allows for hiking, and there aren't the the OHV access vehicles in the Menhir Day Use area. So that's a pretty great thing to do. It is a steep area to go explore, but it's one of these places where there's so much elevation change that you have a variety of fire followers that are showing up and rotating rather quickly, because the temperatures and the winds and basically the climate there is more extreme as it's further south than what we have up here in the Mount Diablo area. But it's an incredible place to go explore. I led a hike down there about a month and a half ago, and with my 2.5 hour hike, I counted something like 53 fire following species. So it was a pretty amazing thing to go and see, and it's just an amazing place to go and connect to. One of the things about the Del Puerto Canyon area is it's a really long road, and that's really the Menhir Day Use area there is one of the few places that are open to the public to go explore. But there's amazing places to pull off on the side of the road and gaze at the biodiversity of plants and animals actually too that you can see in that area. So I really can't try to inspire people enough to go down and explore this place. It's absolutely amazing, and we might not be able to explore it from Highway 5 for much longer. So get out to that area and check it out.
I'm going to add a couple things about Del Puerto Canyon for people who haven't been there. For a lot of birders, Del Puerto Canyon is one of their favorite places. Imagine that it's a 30-mile long road that starts at the junction of San Antonio Valley and Mines Road south of Livermore and comes out in the Central Valley at Patterson, the town of Patterson. It's a very steep, deep canyon, and the creek at the bottom of it is a thread of green that attracts a lot of wildlife, a lot of birds. The road is spectacular at any time of the year. It's going to be drying up faster because of the rain conditions than in some years, but it's so steep that it has lots of different exposures, lots of incredible geology. And complex geology means supporting complex soils, which results in really intense high biodiversity for both plants and animals. So if you haven't spent time in Del Puerto Canyon, we cannot recommend it enough.
So more on the the concept of utilizing public roads and turnouts and things like that to explore some of these areas. So a lot of the fires you can see kind of burned along and through a lot of these major thoroughfares to get you from 101 to Highway 5. Mount Hamilton, for instance, is an amazing place to go and explore, and I think it's something like 20% of the biodiversity in California can be found there. And we ended up doing that drive multiple times last year, and we're really floored by some of the things we were seeing, both plants and animals wise, right after the fire, as well as the intensity that kind of came through this particular area. And again, there's not a whole lot of park type space in this particular area, but it's an amazing drive to go and do, and basically pull out, be prepared to go and take lots of photos and look for roadside treasures. I mean, we did this drive multiple times last year, and you could drive through it really quickly in maybe 1.5 to 2 hours, but we'd be out there for 6 or 8 hours just exploring things on the side of the road, because there is just so much to see. There's so much diversity in the soil type, like Seth was saying. There's water in a multitude of places. So, you know, there's a lot of diversity to see there. And you can easily tie that into Mines Road and go out toward Livermore, if you will. The fire line kind of stops almost right at the Alameda Santa Clara line as you get to the top of the grade there, dropping down Mines Road toward Del Val. And that's an incredible drive, or you can link that into Del Puerto Canyon as well and explore that particular area. But again, this is one of those drives that, you know, it's amazing all times of year, probably without a fire, but even, you know, with this fire we had, it makes it that much more magical to go explore. And again, you know, this is a place where there's definitely no cell signal. So make sure your car is, you know, fully topped out with gas, or bring some extra with you, and bring a good lunch with you and plenty of stuff to drink, and have a fun time exploring.
Yeah, if you're following Save Mount Diablo communications at all, you know that in the last 3 years, we've been expanding our work down the 200-mile Diablo range. And the SCU Fire really occupied the northern part of the Diablo range from Pacheco Pass and Highway 152 north. And there are a few of the most beautiful roads in California in the Diablo range. It only has 2 freeways crossing it. And when you look at Mount Diablo, the namesake peak, or you look at the narrow places that we cross, most likely Altamont Pass, you get a very skewed idea of what the Diablo range is like. You think, oh, it's 10 miles wide, or I'm driving Highway 5 looking west, or Highway 101 looking east, and it looks like a lot of grassland hills or some bare geology. And when you get 5 miles in and 500 feet up, you find out that it's Mount Diablo multiplied, and every place that gets a lot of attention turns out to have incredible biodiversity. So there's a lot still to be discovered out there, but only 24% of the Diablo range is in public lands. So a lot of it's private. And that means that the roads are one of the best ways to see this area. We're not encouraging anyone to trespass, but there are lots of places where there are no fences along the roads, where chaparral burned, where you can get a view of quite a bit of the plant life that's out there. And if we had to tell you the single best drive to go through the Diablo range and look at the fire area, it would be go down to San Jose, go up over the top of Mount Hamilton where the Lick Observatory is, drive into the San Antonio Valley, which was a little island of unburned area surrounded by fires. Those people were sweating when the fire happened. Take a drive 5, 10, 30 miles down Del Puerto Canyon Road and come back up Mines Road to Livermore. And you'll get a very good view of this maze of 20-mile long arroyos, ridgeline after ridgeline after ridgeline. And you'll also get real elevation change from the top of Mount Hamilton, almost at 4,000 feet, and down into these lower areas. So despite what's happened in terms of the rain, early rains, and been more dry recently, there's a lot of elevation change. That means that the colder areas on the slopes of Mount Hamilton will have stuff that's coming out now. And this is where you really get a sense of that idea that in some places only 10% of the burned area recovered last year. I'm going to be there tomorrow myself, and I'll be curious to see what percentage of the ground has been covered by vegetation now. Quite a bit more we're all going to expect. You'll drive along any of these roads and you'll see little turnoffs in places. Again, don't go past private gates, but very few people are turning down the side roads to look at areas. And while we might have said there's a fire poppy in Morgan Territory, or there's a whispering bell on Mount Hamilton, part of what a BioBlitz is discovering locations in lots of different places of these various individual species, and getting a sense of the overall biodiversity and the overall breadth of these species ranges, and how they change over time. So if you had to pick a single place to go on this BioBlitz, over the top of Mount Hamilton, into San Antonio Valley, down Del Puerto Canyon at least part way, and then back up Mines Road, will take you most of a day, but you'll be amazed at what's right here in our own backyard. The San Antonio Valley, for example, has incredible wildflower displays. They're probably finishing up right now, but who knows what's going to happen with these surges of rain that we're getting this week and next week. So go explore. You're up, Denise.
Yep. Let's see. Yeah, thank you so much. So great news. Save Mount Diablo is partnering up with the California Native Plant Society. This is our second year in this partnership. And so they have a Fire Followers campaign that they're working on, and it's encompassing a lot of the 2020 fires that happened throughout California, but I've seen that they have 2021 fires also up on iNaturalist. They have created a specific iNaturalist project made for the SCU Lightning Complex, and that's the one that we're encouraging BioBlitz participants to upload their observations onto. There's no extra work to do that, but and we'll go over how that process is done in a bit. But the goal is for observations to populate into this project, so then researchers and other scientists can look through it and they have a better idea of what's showing up in the different burned areas. So they're accepting animals and fungi and other living things. It's not just plants. But yeah, so we're encouraging people to use that. They also have a lot of cool challenges that go on around this time, and they also give out really cool swag. So definitely check it out. So before we jump into the specifics of uploading an observation on iNaturalist, I just want to give a broad overview of what iNaturalist is. So iNaturalist is a giant database, both an app and a website, designed to let people share their observations of nature and create an official record that a plant, animal, or fungi, or another living organism was seen in a particular location on a particular day. And so this is called species occurrence data. Not only can you make and share observations, you can also get identifications. You can keep track of everything you've seen and explore what other people have seen all over the world. So similar networks to this are the Bug Guide, eBird. This one was made in 2008 at UC Berkeley by Kenichi Ueda and his team, and it's now run by the California Academy of Sciences. So how does it work? Crash course on how it works. First of all, you take a clear, focused photo or multiple photos of an organism to turn it into an observation. When you upload your photo, either onto the app or the website, whenever you have signal, because you're going to need signal in order to upload things, iNaturalist will give you some ID suggestions that have photos with them. And it's okay if you don't know what organism you took a picture of, that's perfectly fine. You can choose from the list. There's going to be a drop-down list, and you can choose the closest thing that looks like your organism. You want to focus on suggestions that say visually similar and seen nearby, or you can type in your own suggestion if you'd like, but you definitely don't have to have the right answer. Once you hit share, your observation gets uploaded onto iNaturalist, where the iNaturalist community can confirm or refine the ID. And sometimes that takes time, so don't worry about it. It's been shared and people get to see it now and they can help you out. So it's really that quick and it's that easy. There's nothing else that you need to do. On this observation, continuing on with the seaside daisy, you can see that two other people down here from the iNaturalist community have agreed that this is in fact a seaside daisy. So just like anyone can make observations on iNaturalist, anyone can help with identifications as well. So that means you can also help. If you know a certain organism is in fact a seaside daisy or some other kind of species, then you can suggest that in this. It'll ask you what suggestion you'd like to add, and then you can write down seaside daisy. There are over 800,000 iNaturalist members made up of scientists, amateur experts, people just interested in nature, students, park rangers, etc. So there's a lot of knowledge out there, and many other members can help you identify your photos. So not that this observation has two confirmations for the identification, it's not considered research grade. So it's an official species occurrence data, which is a confirmed record that this species was in fact seen in this particular location on this particular day. And this is really, really valuable information for scientists studying biodiversity and species ranges. So some benefits of iNaturalist, there's lots of benefits, but some of them include, we learn a lot. There's tons of really, really cool observations and knowledgeable experts on social network, on this social network. You can also help others identify their observations. So you're creating a relationship with someone else that way. You can explore what other people have found either at a local scale or across the world. You can interact with experts. You can learn from them. You can contribute to scientific advancement and help guide policy change. It's also just really cool to see all the organisms that we share this planet with. So it really puts things into perspective. Like I said, there's many other reasons why iNaturalist is a really great resource, and it's a really great community to be a part of. So I really highly encourage everyone to explore the app and play around with different functions on it. There's a lot of stuff that you can do. It's very simple to use, but there's definitely more in-depth materials that you can learn to use. So now we're going to move into the step-by-step process on how to upload your observations through the website. And then I'm going to go over through the phone application. So after you've gone out to take pictures and you're back wherever there is cell signal and you can, or your laptop or whatever, first you're going to want to make an account, and it's completely free and it's really easy to make. You just need an email and you can make your own username, make your own password. Once you sign up, you're going to want to go to the search bar up here, and you're going to type in California Fire Followers 2020 SCU, and this is going to pop up. And well, there's going to be a drop down, and then you can click on the SCU Lightning Complex. And once you get to this page, you're going to want to click Join. So then you can track whenever someone posts an observation onto this project, you'll get a notification. If you'd like, you can also silent those, but you can keep track of the different kinds of species that people are seeing out in different areas. So once you've joined, you can start uploading observations. So you're going to want to click on, the, why can't I see? Difficulties. Okay, you're going to want to click on this upper right hand corner that says upload, and once you click on that, it's going to show you this page. So let's say I'm going to use as an example, I want to upload this picture of a lupin, which I just did because I clicked choose files and I just selected a photo that was on my laptop. And so you'll see here that when I uploaded this photo, it automatically came with a timestamp and a date. And that's just because I took it with my phone. And because I took it with my phone and it has GPS on, it automatically inputted all that information on here. So the only thing I have left to add is the species name. So once I click on here, I didn't even write anything, I just click on it. This is what's going to pop down. It's a drop down. And I don't know exactly what species this lupin might be, but it looks like a lupin because it looks like these pictures. I'm just going to click the first one that I see. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to make sure that the date and the time is correct. And it doesn't need to be perfect, but it's good to have it as close to whatever time and date that you took the picture. And then you can look at the location, make sure that's correct. If you click on the location, this is going to pop up. And this is going to show you the coordinates of where you saw the species. If you're interested in hiding, you can obscure the location of your species. You can click on geoprivacy and you'll have options. Open means everyone can see the location. Obscured means that it's going to expand this red circle. And so it's not going to give you the exact location. And private means that only you can see, or whoever you wish to share the location with. So once I have all that done, oh, and before that, I just want to encourage everyone to keep their location public because this is the public BioBlitz and we want scientists and other researchers to know where things are located. But I'll go over other species that are endangered or rare. There's a way to definitely, iNaturalist can automatically obscure that information. But once you're done, you're going to click submit on the upper right hand corner, and that's it. It's going to take you to this page. And this is just a list of all the observations you've made. And when you click on your observation again that you just made, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to show you the map of where you found it, the time, the date, and the date submitted. When you scroll down, you're going to see that these projects just automatically popped up here. I didn't click on anything and I didn't add my picture onto any projects. So the picture, because the GPS coordinates were inside a fire footprint, and that information was captured through your phone, it just automatically populates onto these different projects. These projects are all focusing on specific locations. So you don't have to do any more work. That's just an automatic thing. So adding observations by phone. Sorry, I have a bar hiding everything up here. Okay, this is, you're gonna wanna go to your app store, whatever that is, and you're gonna wanna download the iNaturalist app. And once you open it, this is what it's gonna look like. You're gonna have to make an account, and then you can log in. Once you log in, this is what your page is going to look like. And to add things, you're going to want to click on the lower right-hand corner where this green plus is, and you're going to have some options. The one that I always use is choose image, because usually I'm not in a place where there's signal. So I could take a photo, but it's not going to upload well. So I'll just choose an image of a photo I already have. And so let's say I'm uploading this picture up here, and this just automatically populates because it's through my phone. It already has all this information. And this is just me scrolling down of what the rest of this looks like. But you're going to want to click on what did you see? And it's going to automatically bring me this list down here of options I can choose from. I don't know what this is, so I'm just going to say it's this first one, and then people can help me out. So after I click that, the observation again automatically gets uploaded onto these different projects, just because I took it in the location where the project is encompassing. So it's really that simple. There's nothing else to it. You just take picture, upload it, pick whatever suggestion for species that comes up, unless you know it, of course. And that's it. And then you just share it with everyone. But I'm going to go through a couple of FAQs here. What if I don't have a photo? And that's fine, no problem. That, you know, if there's an animal that's running away from you and you can't capture it, that's fine. You can't catch a photo of it. Observations don't require a photo. You can also have sound if you'd like, but to add a photo-less observation, you're going to want to go to your page. This is just through a website. You're going to want to go up here to add. And then it's going to say observation without media, and you're going to want to click that one. So here, you're going to have to input all the information. So definitely take a notebook or something out there and a writing utensil and take notes of things that you can't catch pictures of. So you're going to write down, just describe it as best as you can. You can add notes about it. Maybe you didn't see it very well, but any information helps. You're no expert. That's fine. I'm no expert either. I just love taking photos of living organisms and especially plants and just uploading them, and people will help you out. Just give them a photo if you can, give them a location, give them some notes that can help people identify what maybe you've seen. And that's great. That's all we really need to do. And it's really that simple. Privacy concerns. So, like I mentioned, if you want to change the location of your photo, all you have to do is click on this on the location, and then you can change it to open, obscure to private. Again, this is a public BioBlitz, so we do want to encourage people to keep their observations open, except if there is a wildlife concern. If there, for example, there's an endangered species that you took a picture of, you don't have to worry about obscuring the identity of the species. iNaturalist is is a giant database, like I mentioned before, and it already knows that you took a picture of something that could potentially be in danger. So even if it suspects a little bit that this could be a rare, a threatened, endangered species, it will automatically obscure the location for you, so you don't have to do any extra work. And it doesn't need to get to research grade. People don't need to identify it until it gets to this point. If the database suspects at all that it is endangered or in any case a conservation status that could be threatened, then it will automatically obscure. So how to make better observations. Here's just a couple of tips on how to do it. Take identifiable pictures. So make sure your photos are in focus, make sure they're not blurry. And sometimes what helps is definitely just holding the plant if it's windy, or sometimes just bringing like a white sheet of paper and putting it behind a plant. Sometimes if you're taking pictures of grasses or small flowers, it's really hard to focus on that because there's a lot of stuff in the background. So bringing a white sheet of paper and putting it behind the flower, the plant, or probably or the insect, sometimes that helps your phone focus better, or your camera. Take photos of single species. Don't take photos of giant landscapes because there's just too much going on, and it's really hard for the person identifying to know what you're trying to get to. So definitely focus on a single species at a time. And take photos of multiple angles. Or take photos, just multiple photos too. So if you're taking a photo of a plant, definitely focus on any flowers you might see, leaves, the stems, maybe the base of the plant. If you're taking photos of insects, you definitely take the top and the sides if you can. Animals might be a little harder because they might be moving, but try to capture as many photos as you can, even videos if you need to, for any kind of moving species. And definitely note down the date of the observation. Sometimes this information does get lost, so do note down. You can note down the time as well, and any other important information you think might help people identify, something like if you see a plant with milky substance coming out of it, that might be helpful. Or yeah, if you see any other things, any special colors that might not show very well in your pictures, any kind of identifying factors can really make a big difference. And definitely make sure the location is correct. So at least we have a better idea of where it is, because there are different species in different areas. It's okay if you don't know what a plant is called. Honestly, you could just say plant if you don't know what it is. There's no big deal. People will definitely help you out. Sometimes it might take time for people to get to your observation, and that's okay. But you don't need to know the specifics of the organism that you're taking a picture of. You could say plant, bird, mushroom, fungus. It's okay if we don't know what it is. Just to say living thing. And like I said, it takes time. It takes a lot of time. These are experts, and they're busy people. So you might get someone identifying your picture in a day or within a couple minutes, or sometimes it might take weeks. And that's fine. You can also reach out to people if you want a faster observation, but it does take time for people to get to it. There we go. So those are some of the FAQs for how to use iNaturalist, and hopefully that clarified some things. Again, for the BioBlitz, I just want to remind everyone that we are having a debrief after the 2 weeks, and it's going to be on Thursday, May 5th from 4 to 6 p.m. We're going to have highlights from experts and naturalists who've gone all over the Northern Diablo Range and found some really interesting things, or just talking about their experience as part of the BioBlitz. And again, this is a completely free event. You can sign up through Eventbrite so that you can get the Zoom link. And yeah, and again, I just want to remind everyone that we are having that challenge of uploading 50 observations into iNaturalist in celebration of Save Mount Diablo's 50th anniversary. And then you get a free BioBlitz shirt and some really cool swag. And yeah, that is our BioBlitz presentation. I'm having sticky keys here. So I just want to yeah, just have fun BioBlitzing out there. Definitely don't stress out about knowing what you're seeing. Just take pictures of everything or anything you see that you are interested in, and especially if you want to know more about it, and upload all that information onto iNaturalist. It's extremely helpful for researchers and scientists and for land managers to know what's growing in different areas, especially after a big natural disaster, because that will help us with land management and policy changes. So I wrote my email down here in case you have any questions, but I'm also going to take this time to look through the chat just to make sure that, just to go through any questions that might be showing up. Let's see.
I want to add a couple things too, Denise.
Yeah, go ahead while I look at the chat.
Great. Everybody, Save Mount Diablo, of course, does these kinds of cool events because we're very interested in science. We have a small grants program where we offer grants for research in the Northern Diablo Range. And as I said, we're doing our work further south in the Diablo Range to make sure that Mount Diablo doesn't get cut off from the rest of the range. But we're a nonprofit organization. And if you enjoy the tens of thousands of acres of land that we've helped protect and will continue to protect, if you love biodiversity, the Diablo Range is the place to be. Please help us with our work and join Save Mount Diablo, join California Native Plant Society, and help these organizations that are helping to protect biodiversity in Northern California.
Yeah, that's great. And I hope that people were able to find the 2020 SCU Lightning Complex project on iNaturalist. It should be readily available. But again, if you have any questions or any difficulties using iNaturalist, please feel free to email me at dcastro@savemontdiablo.org and I can help you out. But yeah, thank you so much everyone for joining us today.
Wait.
Oh, yes.
There's another question, Denise. Can you discuss strategies like if we see many examples of the same species, how helpful is it to upload multiple examples, and especially when relatively close?
Right. Yeah. So you can definitely upload many pictures into one observation. So you can take a picture of one, if it's a flower, let's say it's if it's this flower right here, the mariposa lily, and you see a large field of it, you can take a picture of an individual flower and then take a broader picture of the field of flowers, and you can upload those two together into one observation. So then people can get an idea of how big the population is. But definitely don't do them separately, because then it becomes a confusing thing of like, well, what are you focusing on in that landscape picture? But yeah, especially if you see some with different coloration, but that looks similar, you can always do those separately too if you're not sure if they're the same species. But yeah, you can definitely upload a lot of photos if you see a big patch of things. That might help as well.
A lot of us tend to focus on the things that are unusual or showy, and it's easy to neglect the things that seem more common. But that's one of the ways we find out if populations are changing or if they're moving, especially in the time of climate change. So I always like to focus on some of the keystone and foundational species like blue oaks, which people might not be focusing on, or mistletoe, or things like that. And it's through crowdsourcing of large amounts of information that we'll know things like, are kestrels declining? Peregrine falcons draw our attention because they're threatened, but kestrels were once common and now they're less common. And so as we know that populations of plants and animals are going to be moving around as temperatures warm up. And so practicing on the common species, which are a lot easier to identify, is just as useful as looking for the thing that's rare or endangered. And you're going to see things too that you think, oh, why does anybody care about a dead snake on the road? Well, we also do a 24-hour BioBlitz with experts. It happened last weekend, or weekend before last. And there was a dead snake on the road. It looked like a little gopher snake. We looked a little closer. It was a night snake. For me and the person who saw it first, it was our second night snake that we've ever seen in our life in the entire Diablo range. And that was a really important observation. So, you know, don't hold back when you're thinking about what you might want to identify. Use it to hone your naturalist skills.
Yeah, yes. And to the question of, do you want California poppies every quarter of a mile? I would suggest also taking a photo of a species. Like if you see a big field of California poppies and then you're driving and you see another big field, you don't need to stop at each one and take a photo of that, because there is a lot and you're going to easily get overwhelmed by just one species. So I would definitely try to divide my time exploring different species, and I'm trying to also include those into your observations. So definitely, yeah, consider just looking for other things as well. We don't need a picture of every California poppy within every quarter mile, but yeah.
But Denise, remind them about the challenge that we're doing, because we've made the first T-shirt to ever show the geographic range of the Diablo range on a piece of merchandise.
Yeah, yeah. And let me go back to
50
that.
observations.
Yeah, yeah. And so it's definitely the first shirt that has the Diablo range printed on it. And we have lots of them. So we're excited to share it with everyone. And it's going to take me a while to get back there, but I'm excited to show it to you all again right here. And I just want to thank the California Native Plant Society again for partnering with us and allowing us to use the fire poppy image right here, because it was their creation. But we focused on creating the Diablo range map right here. And yeah, so that's the first time this range has been on a shirt. So definitely consider uploading 50 observations and reach out to me so you can get a shirt. Any other questions? I think that's all I see. Seth, Sean, do you see any other questions that need to be answered?
One last thing. If people think they've found something extraordinary, if you have some level of expertise, let Denise know, because for the recap event, we're going to have little 5-minute presentations from a bunch of different people of exciting stuff, both in our 24-hour BioBlitz that happened a week ago and of this 2-week dispersed BioBlitz. And we want to share exciting news. Like last year, the only location of fire poppies in the SCU fire footprint was something we were able to tell people about. And so if you find something extraordinary, email Denise, and we'll see about having you talk a little bit about it at the recap event.
Yeah, and again, just a reminder that these slides will be posted on our website as a PDF, and we will be posting this recording on our YouTube channel, which is Save Mount Diablo. So definitely keep an eye out for that if you want my information too. So thank you so much, everyone, again, and have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you all.
Thank you.